Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
We're at number 7 of the 49ers roster countdown, and Arik freaking Armstead comes in. I love this guy. Great football player, can kind of do it all on the outside and inside. Definitely found his mojo moving back inside last year and finished. I'm telling you this right now. 49ers do not make the playoffs without what Arik Armstead did to close out the year. Finished the season, week 17, and the first 2 playoff games with 3 back-to-back best games of his career. Just absolute hot streak. And then you had the last game against the Rams. It wasn't on par with those other 3, but man, the tear that he went on was just incredible. Jersey number 91. Tall. And whenever I say tall, I mean super tall. I mean 99th percentile of all defensive linemen in the NFL. 6'7". Usually don't get him that big. 290 pounds. He's 28 years old and entering into his 8th season. Now, there's so much to this guy. And I want to start with this because I think it's really, really important. He was the 49ers Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, and guess what, man? He deserves all the accolades in the world for what he does off the field. His parents, Gus and Christy Armstead, his family has 1 brother, 1 sister, and man, his dad played basketball at Sacramento State. His brother Armand played at USC and actually was with the Patriots for a year before he was forced to retirement, had some injuries, all those things. But let's do this, okay? Because we're going to get into football. We're going to get into highlights. We're going to hear from Arik. We're going to go through 2022 projections. This right here, this is big to me. His parents, as the most influential people of his life, and gives credit to his grandfather, Willie B. Armstead, an Air Force veteran, for instilling integrity and all those things in him. But understand that, listen to this. Start his own foundation, the Arik Armstead Foundation. In 2020, he donated $50,000 to housing for students that participated in distant learning during COVID. Bought 350 Chromebooks for the students. Also paid for their internet so that they could learn despite maybe not having the resources to do so. Also sent them learning activities, books, supplies, and healthy snacks so that the kids could learn from home during COVID. Then he goes out in Sacramento back in 2019, the offseason, started his own Arik, the Armstead Academic Project, which he still is very, very big with. Everything's about promoting equal opportunities through education, which is incredible. I mean, that's what I'm about, 100%. And just, we have 2 pages of notes on this guy and all the different things that he does for the community and children. Absolutely incredible. Not to mention his wife, she's a freaking doctor. It can go on and on. The thing, Q&A, reading books through over Zoom to kids, trying to just incorporate and implement better education. This dude, the 49ers are full of a lot of humanitarians. This dude's number one. Absolute great person. Now, let's look at his background, and as we do so, let's throw some film up. This was some clips that I did back in 2019 of him. I threw those together, coming off a great year. You'll see number 91. Have some fun with this one. But, he went to Pleasant Grove High School in Elk Grove, California, just south of Sacramento. And got to give a shout out here to AJ. What's up, AJ? If you've been with the 49ers Rush podcast for a while, we did a video for AJ for his birthday announcing he was coming out to Vegas to meet Fred Warner and Elijah Mitchell. And so AJ's actually going to be going to this school. So shout out to him and his dad, Coach Cruz. They are the best of the best. Now, before Oregon, he was a 2-way standout on defense and offensive line. He was a U.S. Army All-American, Parade All-American. I mean, he just did everything. And, in all of it, while he was doing that, he was playing basketball. He's probably rated just as high as a basketball player. He was a top 40 basketball player in the country whenever he came out in 2012. He averaged a double-double, 16 points, 10 rebounds, and, little known fact, he actually played for the Oregon basketball team whenever he committed to Oregon for 2 years. Redshirted his first year with the basketball team, came out the second year, played in one game, and then decided to focus on football, which I think was a pretty dang good call. But he's kind of done everything. And once he showed up at Oregon, he proved he was going to be a player right away. A major asset on the defensive line his very first year in 2012 with Oregon. Almost went to USC, but wanted to stay in Oregon. Ranked 4th in tackles with 26 tackles his very first, freshman year. All those things, and just was all over the place. Comes out 2013 sophomore year and was a mainstay on the Ducks defensive line rotation. But still not getting the starting credibility that perhaps he deserved. And then in 2014, everything changed. 13-game starter. His best season as a college, player. Finished second with tackles with 46 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss. Just kept going, and just kind of kept doing everything. And so whenever you look at what he was able to accomplish while being on the basketball team as well, his stats were never great. Only 4 career sacks in his 3 years at Oregon, 10.5 tackles for loss. But you could just see it. He passed the eye test. He passed the measuring test. The film was good. It was a different time. So the stats never were great, but that's usually the case with defensive tackles. Now you look at what he did at the combine: 6'7", 99th percentile, ran a 5'1" 40, 7.53 cone, 34-inch vertical at 6'7". That's top 93% of defensive linemen. Broad jump 117, top 96%. The closest that I could get in athletic comparables were Gerald McCoy and Roderick Wright, but neither one of them are anywhere close to the body style. He's unique. There's not a lot of them that have that length and lower explosiveness and height. I mean, it's just different. He's about as good a run defender as there is in the NFL. And it doesn't matter where you play him. Play him on the outside, great run defender. Play him on the inside, better run defender. I really do wish, and you see in some of these clips, that he was playing inside his whole career. I feel like it might have been a loss to him, and he's incredible. He was drafted in 2015, pick 17. He fell a little bit. The 49ers selected him. He was the 4th defensive end selected that year. The 3 people selected ahead of him: Dante Fowler, Leonard Williams, and Vic Beasley, which I would put him and Leonard Williams definitely by far the best of that class, those 4, Fowler and Beasley behind him. But again, those are true edge guys. He's playing defensive tackle now. Now, his rookie year, 2015, didn't make it to training camp because Oregon, the Pac-12 really, had this stupid law where the quarter system and eligibility and whatever else didn't matter. So he missed training camp, which he was behind the 8 ball. Head coach Jim Tomsula, which grosses me out to say that, he just didn't get a lot of playing time. He was behind Quentin Dial, Glenn Dorsey, Tank Carradine, Tony Gerard-Eddy. No slight to them, but man, he should have been playing. He did make his debut. Against the Minnesota Vikings, the 49ers won 20-3, and Armstead had 1 tackle for loss during that game, and really just unimpressive rookie year. 19 combined tackles, 14 solo, 2 sacks in 16 games. Nothing too impressive. Now, 2016, things changed. Chip Kelly came in, his former college coach, right? And they moved him up, and he got partnered with DeForest Buckner, Quentin Dial, and those 3 guys just were awesome. And he really, really played well. Finished his second season, 15 combined tackles, forced fumble, 2.5 sacks. And again, only made it 8 games. You remember, he had a lot of injuries early on. 2017, same thing. 1 sack. He got placed on injured reserve after breaking his hand in week 6. So that was rough. Then 2018 happens. They decide to pick up his 5th-year option, which was a great call. But he goes out, and guess what? He was able to play in 16 games, but only 3 starts. Now, here's where it gets awesome. 2019 season, breakout year. The year the 49ers went to the Super Bowl. You're seeing the highlights now. whenever 2019 happened, Armstead just lit a fire under his rear end. It was his 5th-year option. When players get contract years, guess what? They perform very, very well. And he was awesome. Made his debut in the playoffs against Minnesota Vikings, crushed them 27-10. Championship game 37-20. You get into the Super Bowl, pressures, 3 tackles. Unfortunately, they came up short. But after that, they had to pay him. He was just too good. They decided to trade Buckner and sign Armstead. And I know football fans get caught up on that, but you got to understand, it's not Buckner versus Armstead. It's Buckner versus Armstead signing Jimmy Ward and drafting Javon Kinlaw. It's 1 versus 3. That's what it was. So whenever you weigh the balances of the trade, whether they were winners or losers, you've got to take that into context. I will say this, and I had an debate with Arik Crocker, and I agree with him. If the 49ers would have moved Armstead inside when they traded Buckner, it would have been 100% a success. But it took them a year and a half to figure out what the hell to do and to play him in his right position. But they paid him. 5 years, $85 million contract extension, $48.5 million guaranteed. And what did he do in 2020? 16 games started, 3.5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 13 quarterback hits. 2021, 17 starts, 6 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 11 quarterback hits, and he finished on the tear. I want to go into detail here. 3 best games of his career came consecutively at the end of the year in the playoffs. Week 17 versus the Rams, 2.5 sacks, 4 solo, 2 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits. Player of the game, incredible. Key moments. You do not make the playoffs last year without Arik Armstead. Versus the Cowboys, 1 sack, 1 solo stop, 1 tackle for loss, 3 quarterback hits. Division game versus the Packers, 2 sacks, 3 solo stops, 2 tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits. Dude just went off. And I'm excited about it. He has started, and this is crazy. Him and Jimmy Ward, very similar career arcs because injured, and then just turned into Iron Man. 71 consecutive starts for Arik Armstead. And I know he sprained his MCL. He's going to be out a couple weeks right now. But still, Iron freaking man. Who starts 71 consecutive games on the defensive line? That's unheard of. It's incredible. And I love what he's doing for this team. Now, Arik was asked what he's excited about and the difference between playing inside for the upcoming year in 2022.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think that when I was playing in, I've always played inside on passing situations. And when I was playing in, obviously I was at in to shut down the run game. And teams just started running the ball away from me. So I wasn't as involved into the game. And I think playing inside with my ability, which might be tough for some people, but with my ability to be more involved in the run game, not allow teams just to kind of run away from me, and then also to have more opportunities rushing against guards and on the inside where I predominantly do on third down. I'll get more of those opportunities throughout the game on first and second down. So I think it'll be good. I'm excited for it, and I think I can dominate in this role as well.
I love it, man. Teams can't run away from me. He's more involved on the inside. And that's why I expect one of his best years coming into 2022. And on top of that, probably the thing that makes me most excited, we have never seen Javon Kinlaw and Arik Armstead inside next to each other. We haven't seen it. He made that move in week 9 last year from DE to full-time defensive tackle. And guess what happened? Fred Warner instantaneously went back to linebacker number 1 form in the NFL. Instantaneously. He was getting too many people in his face, which wasn't his fault, but that's what Armstead stops. Now you add in Kinlaw and Armstead, who we haven't seen them together. Great things. The entire philosophy of the defense is simple. Stop the run on early first and second down, force them into long third down situations to throw the ball. That lets your pass rush go wild, lets your secondary ease up, and it just makes sense. And we finally get to see this in fruition, and I'm pumped about this. So he's going to be paired up inside. My 2022 projections for Arik Armstead, I don't care about sacks. I know the common fan looks at those. They're so unpredictable. Don't really care. If I had to put a betting number on it, I would put the over-under at 5.5 sacks. He had 6 last year. And that was, but again, you look at those 3 games we talked about, what he finished with, 5.5 sacks on 3 games. So he's capable of double-digit sacks. We've seen that. He's capable of taking over games. We've seen that. But sacks do not determine what Arik Armstead provides for this defense. It's incredible linebacker play because he stuffs the middle. It's incredible secondary play because they're facing 3rd and long. That's what I care about. The 49ers are going to have a top 5 defense in 2022. And a big reason why, this guy right here, number 91. Now, my projected stats for him, 5.5 sacks, 31 solo stops, 9 tackles for loss, and 12 quarterback hits, which would be incredible. I'm excited for Armstead. And we've got him signed for a while through the 2024 season, which is great news because this nucleus of 49ers, now that Debo's extended as well, just continues to be improved. Great team, great base. Number 7 on the 49ers roster countdown. I want to say thank you to Anthony and Josh, executive producers of this entire series. And, man, we're just going to keep counting them down.